Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell y'all something real today. Something that might sting a little, but it's the truth. See, we got a lot of women out here, beautiful souls, who give their all, their love, their loyalty, their patience to men who end up breaking their hearts. And the question keeps coming back, why? Why do men hurt the women who love them the most? Let me tell you something, and I want you to hear me loud and clear. Sometimes the pain a man causes a woman has nothing to do with her and everything to do with what's going on inside of him. A lot of times a man ain't trying to be cruel. He's not waking up in the morning thinking, let me go mess up the life of this amazing woman who loves me. No, what's happening is he's operating from a place that's broken, a place that ain't been healed yet. He's walking around with scars that he never dealt with. And when you carry pain like that, when you never sit with it, never face it, never talk about it, it doesn't just sit quietly inside you, it leaks. It spills over into everything you touch, especially the people closest to you. A lot of brothers have gone through things in life that they never talk about. Abandonment, betrayal, shame. They've seen their father walk out the door and never come back. They've been told by the world that they're not good enough, not man enough, not worthy. And instead of dealing with that, instead of crying it out or talking it out or praying it out, they bury it. They put on that mask. You know the one. Tough guy, no feelings, no fear, always in control. But the truth is, under all that armor, there's a scared little boy who never got the love, the validation, or the peace he needed. Now here comes this woman. She sees past the mask. She sees potential. She sees the good in him. She believes in him. She gives him love, pure, patient, forgiving love. But he don't know what to do with that. He's never had that before. He don't feel worthy of it. So instead of leaning into it, he starts pulling back. He gets cold, he gets distant, or worse, he starts pushing her away, starts saying things he doesn't mean, starts doing things he knows will hurt her. Why? Because deep down, he's afraid. He's afraid that if he truly lets her in, she'll see who he really is, broken, insecure, unsure, and leave him. And to avoid that pain, he creates it himself. He tries to control the fall before it happens. That's what unhealed pain does. It tricks you. It tells you that love is dangerous, that vulnerability is a weakness, that trust will get you hurt. So men start to sabotage the very thing they want most. They want love, they want connection, but they've never been taught how to handle it, how to give it, how to receive it. And because of that, they end up breaking the hearts of women who only ever wanted to help them heal. It ain't right, but it's real. A man who's bleeding on the inside will eventually bleed on the people trying to help him. He'll lash out, not because he hates you, but because he hates how he feels about himself. He's stuck in a war inside his own mind, and sometimes you just happen to be standing too close to the battlefield. That's how you end up catching the shrapnel of his unspoken pain. And the saddest part is, most of these men don't even realize what they're doing. They don't sit down and reflect. They don't look back and connect the dots. Because in their world, feelings are something you shove down, not deal with. Talking about pain, that's soft. That's weak. That's not manly. So they keep walking around wounded, wondering why nothing good ever lasts in their life, wondering why the woman they love eventually walks away. It don't have to be this way, but this is the truth. Until a man gets honest about his pain, until he looks himself in the mirror and says, yeah, I've been hurt and I need to deal with it, he will continue to hurt other people. Not because he's evil, not because he doesn't love her, but because he's never healed. And you can't build a healthy relationship on a foundation that's cracked underneath the surface. That's why healing matters. That's why self-awareness matters, because without it, love turns into a battlefield and the people who were supposed to be your peace become your casualties. Let me tell y'all something real today, and I need you to hear me with your heart, not just your ears. Because there's a whole lot of men out here walking around thinking they know what love is, but what they really practicing is control. That ain't love. That's insecurity dressed up like affection. That's fear trying to hide behind power. And a whole lot of women are getting caught up in that mess because they believe his control means he cares. But let's be clear. Real love lifts you. It doesn't lock you down. See, here's the deal. Some men, they never saw healthy love growing up. They didn't see affection. They didn't see communication. They didn't see a man loving a woman with gentleness, respect, and space. What they saw was domination. They saw silence, anger, yelling, or control. And now they repeat what they saw because that's all they know. So when they get into a relationship, they think love means checking your phone every hour, questioning your every move, telling you what to wear, where to go, who to talk to. And when you ask them why they act like that, they say, it's because I love you. No, my brother, that's not love. That's fear. That's insecurity. That's you trying to cage something beautiful because you're scared to lose it. Let me tell you, a real man knows that love is not about ownership. It's about partnership. You don't own her. She's not your property. You're supposed to walk beside her, not put a leash around her soul. But when a man is broken, when he hasn't done the work on himself, he starts to confuse love with possession. He thinks the only way to feel safe is to be in control. But the problem with that is, you can't control somebody and love them at the same time. Those two things don't live in the same house. A lot of men think that if they can just control the woman, they won't get hurt. They believe that if they can manage every little thing she does, she won't leave, she won't cheat, she won't disappoint them. But what really happens is the exact opposite. She stops feeling free, she stops feeling loved, she starts to shrink bit by bit until she doesn't recognize herself anymore. That's not love, that's emotional suffocation. And I've seen it, y'all. I've seen women who used to laugh with ease, who used to shine so bright, become quiet, cautious, scared to speak their truth. All because some man said, I just want what's best for you. Nah, he just wanted control. And it broke her down. Now, fellas, hear me out. I get it. Life can mess you up. You've been hurt. Maybe you've been cheated on. Maybe somebody you loved walked away when you needed them most. But that pain, that fear, that insecurity, it ain't your woman's fault. And it sure ain't her job to carry. If you try to fix your wounds by controlling her, all you'll do is destroy the very love you're trying to protect. Love is trust. It's freedom. It's choosing someone every day without needing to cage them. If you're afraid of losing her, then love her right. Listen to her. Respect her. Encourage her. Stop thinking you gotta hold her down to keep her close. If she's really yours, she'll stay because she wants to, not because she's scared to leave. See, when a man truly loves a woman, He doesn't just think about how she makes him feel. He thinks about how she feels being with him. Does she feel safe? Does she feel heard? Does she feel supported? Or is she constantly having to walk on eggshells just to keep the peace? That's the real question. And a lot of men don't ask it because they're too busy trying to stay in charge. But love ain't about being in charge. It's about being in tune. It's about being present. And most of all, it's about giving her the space to be fully herself, not some version of her you've built out of fear. That's how you keep love alive. That's how you grow together. Anything else that ain't love, that's control in disguise. Let me break something down for you that a lot of people don't talk about, especially when it comes to men and relationships. See, there's this thing inside a lot of men that they don't even know how to name. It's called fear of vulnerability. And I'm going to tell you right now, it's one of the biggest reasons why a man will end up hurting the woman who loves him most, not because he doesn't love her, but because he doesn't know how to be loved by her. There's a difference. And it all starts with fear. Now, most men grow up in a world where they taught to be tough. Don't cry. Don't talk about your feelings. Don't show weakness. Just handle it. Man up. Keep it moving. So what happens is by the time that man grows up, he's emotionally locked up like Fort Knox. He doesn't know how to open up. He doesn't know how to say, I'm scared, or I don't feel good enough, or I need help, because he thinks doing that makes him less of a man. But the truth is, when you can't be vulnerable, you can't be real. And when you can't be real, you can't love right. So here comes this woman, strong, kind, supportive. She sees something in him. She loves him not just for who he is, but for who he could be. And that right there, that scares him. Because now she sees past the surface. She sees the broken parts. She sees the areas he's been hiding. And to her, that's beautiful. But to him, it's terrifying. Because he spent his whole life building a wall to protect himself. And now, here's someone standing at the gate asking to come in. He don't know how to handle that. So instead of letting her in, he pushes her away. He starts pulling back. Maybe he gets moody. Maybe he gets quiet. Maybe he starts arguments over little things, not because he wants to hurt her, but because he's scared to be open with her. Vulnerability feels like danger to him. Letting someone in means giving them the power to hurt you. And for a man who's never been taught how to deal with emotional pain in a healthy way, that's the ultimate threat. So rather than risk getting hurt, he shuts down. He creates distance. He builds new walls. And the crazy thing is, he doesn't even realize he's doing it. In his mind, he might think, I'm protecting myself, but what he's really doing is sabotaging the one thing in his life that's actually good. Because when a woman truly loves a man, she don't want his perfection. She wants his honesty. She wants his truth. She wants to know what's going on in his heart. But if every time she gets close, he disappears emotionally, she starts to feel like she's loving someone who ain't even present. I've seen this over and over again. Good men, strong men, loving men who lose the women who believed in them simply because they were too afraid to be vulnerable. And when she finally walks away, they realize too late what they had. They think back to all the moments she reached for them, all the time she tried to talk, to connect, to love them through the darkness, and they regret not opening up. But fear will do that to you. Fear of not being enough, fear of being seen, fear of needing someone. Because in a man's mind, needing somebody feels like weakness, but let me tell you something. Needing someone ain't weakness. Loving somebody and letting them love you back, that's strength. That's courage. That's what real manhood is. But until a man understands that vulnerability isn't the enemy, it's the bridge to connection, he'll keep running from the very thing he says he wants. He'll keep breaking hearts, not out of cruelty, but out of fear. And that fear, that's the silent killer of so many good relationships. Not because he didn't care, but because he didn't know how to show it without feeling exposed. And that's the lesson too many men learn too late. Let's talk about something that's killing relationships slowly, quietly, and from the inside. The lack of emotional education in men. Now, I ain't talking about school smarts, street smarts. I'm talking about heart smarts. The kind of intelligence that lets you understand your own feelings, communicate them clearly, and handle the emotions of someone you love. A whole lot of brothers out here don't know how to do that, and not because they're bad people, not because they don't want to love right, but because nobody ever taught them how. That's the truth. See, from the time we're little boys, we get told what to be and what not to be. Don't cry. Don't be soft. Stop acting like a girl. Be a man. So what do? We stop showing emotion. We stop talking about how we feel. We bottle it all up. And by the time we're grown, we don't even recognize our own feelings anymore. We can't name them. We can't process them. All we know is we're either angry, fine, or quiet. That's it. Everything else, we've been taught to shove it down. Now imagine trying to build a relationship, a family, a life with someone when that's the emotional toolbox you're carrying. So a woman comes into a man's life and she wants love, real love, the kind that speaks, that listens, that grows. But he's stuck. He feels something, but he don't know how to say it. He wants to comfort her, but he don't know how to show it. He thinks showing up is enough. He thinks paying bills or being physically present is the same thing as being emotionally available, but it's not. And the woman feels that gap. She feels alone even when he's right next to her. And when she says, "You don't talk to me," he don't know what to say back because he was never taught how to have those conversations. This ain't about intelligence. It ain't about how tough a man is. It's about the fact that nobody ever pulled him aside and said, "Hey man, it's okay to feel something. It's okay to be scared. It's okay to talk it out instead of shutting down." So now as a grown man, he loves in silence. He tries to show it through actions, but actions without words don't always reach the heart. You can take her out. You can buy her gifts. But if you never say, "I love you," if you never say, "I appreciate you," if you never let her inside your heart, she's going to feel like she's doing this love thing alone. And let me tell you something. Women are emotional creatures. That ain't weakness. That's strength. They feel deep. They speak from the heart. They connect through communication. So when a man doesn't meet her there, she starts to question everything. Not because she's needy, but because she's wired for emotional intimacy. And if he can't provide that, she starts pulling back, she starts hurting. Not because he doesn't love her, but because he doesn't know how to show it in the language she understands. And let's be real. This emotional ignorance creates cycles. That man might go on to hurt every woman who tries to love him simply because he can't access his emotions. And when those relationships fall apart, he blames her. He says she was too emotional, too much, never satisfied. But the truth is, he just never learned how to love out loud. He never learned how to sit in the discomfort of emotions and say, let's talk, let's heal, let's grow. But here's what every man needs to know. Emotional growth is not automatic. You don't get it just by getting older. You have to work on it. You have to unlearn the things that kept you emotionally mute. You have to decide that being emotionally strong means being open, not closed. It means being honest, not distant. It means expressing love not just with your presence, but with your words, your heart, and your vulnerability. Because if a man doesn't learn emotional language, he will keep breaking hearts, including his own, over and over again. Not because he's heartless, but because he's emotionally illiterate in a world that desperately needs men to speak the language of love clearly and fully. Let's keep it real today. Society's been feeding men a lie for generations. And a lot of us ate it up because we didn't know any better. From the time boys are little, they're taught that to be a real man, you got to be dominant. You got to be the alpha. You got to be in charge. You got to be tough, emotionless, and untouchable. And if you show softness, if you cry, if you say you're hurting, people start questioning your manhood. That's how twisted the game is. And now you've got grown men walking around thinking masculinity means control, not connection. That's dangerous. And women are paying the price for it. See, when a man thinks dominance is the same thing as love, he starts treating his woman like someone he has to manage instead of someone he should connect with. He starts thinking love is about leading without listening, making decisions without asking, setting rules instead of building a bond. That's not strength. That's insecurity wearing a mask. But the world told him that being in control makes him powerful, and that power is love. But power without compassion, that ain't love, that's fear. It's ego. Let me break it down. A man who grew up hearing never let a woman tell you what to do is going to struggle in a relationship where communication, compromise, and collaboration are necessary. He's going to think every disagreement is a challenge to his authority. He's going to take advice as criticism and every emotion she shows as weakness or drama. And instead of leaning in, instead of listening, instead of asking how he can support her, he shuts her down. Not because he doesn't care, but because he thinks being vulnerable or letting her lead sometimes makes him less of a man. That's what society has done. It's created this rigid, outdated idea of masculinity that has no space for emotional connection. So now you've got men who don't know how to sit in silence with a woman and ask her how she's really doing. You've got men who think being hard and distant is attractive, who think being emotionally available is soft, who believe that dominance is romantic. And what happens? The woman in his life starts to feel like she's in a relationship with a wall. She's giving everything, her time, her love, her spirit, and getting back commands, not compassion. This kind of mindset breaks down good relationships. A woman can't thrive where she feels controlled. She can't grow where there's no emotional oxygen. But the man doesn't see that because he's chasing a version of manhood that was built on silence and strength, not softness and support. He thinks providing money, setting rules, or being the man of the house is enough. But a relationship isn't a dictatorship, it's a partnership. And partnership requires emotional connection, not just leadership. Now, don't get it twisted. Being a man doesn't mean giving up strength. But real strength is knowing when to be soft. It's knowing how to be firm without being cold. It's being confident enough to say, baby, I hear you, instead of always needing to be right. It's being secure enough to let her feel safe in your arms, not trapped under your rules. Too many men out here walking around trying to prove something that doesn't need to be proven. You don't need to dominate to be respected. You don't need to control her to be loved. You don't have to win every argument to be the man. What makes you the man is how well you protect her heart. Not just her body, her heart. Can you guard her feelings? Can you make space for her dreams? Can you allow her voice to matter? That's the real question. Society got it backwards. It told men that emotions are weakness, that gentleness is feminine, that being led by love makes you soft. But the truth is, it takes a real man to love with his whole heart, to lead with humility, to admit when he's wrong, to apologize when he hurts someone. That's manhood. That's maturity. That's strength. But until more men unlearn what the world taught them about dominance and start relearning what it really means to love, they'll keep hurting the very women who were sent into their lives to help them heal. Not because they want to, but because they don't know another way. And that right there is the tragedy. Let me tell you something that don't get said enough. Hurt people hurt people. And that's not just a catchy line. That's real life. You got men walking around every single day with wounds they never talk about, scars they've buried so deep they forgot they even had them. But just because something's buried doesn't mean it's gone. And when that pain goes untreated, when that trauma never gets dealt with, it shows up, it spills out. And too often, it spills out on the women who love them the most. See, we live in a world that teaches men to be quiet about their pain, to swallow it, to push through, be a man, toughen up, don't let them see you weak. And so men get real good at hiding what's broken. They learn to smile through the storm, to work through the stress, to fake confidence when they're really crumbling inside. But that pain, that trauma, it's still there. And it don't just disappear. It waits, it festers, and eventually it finds a way out, usually in anger, in coldness, in withdrawal, in behavior that ends up hurting the very person who's trying to love them back to life. I've seen it, man. I've lived it. A brother grew up without his father, now he don't know how to be one. A man watched his mama get mistreated, now he don't trust women fully, even the good ones. A boy got told over and over again that he wasn't enough. Now every time his woman needs something from him, he hears it like criticism instead of communication. That's trauma talking. That's a wounded boy trapped in a grown man's body, trying to navigate love with broken tools. And it don't work, not for long. When a man doesn't face his past, it becomes his present. And even if he has the best intentions, even if he says he loves her, even if he believes it in his heart, if he hasn't healed from what broke him, he's going to bleed on the one who didn't cut him. That's just how it goes. Trauma, unchecked, will hijack love every time. It'll make a man sabotage something beautiful because he doesn't think he deserves it. It'll make him pull away from the woman who's been loyal, who's been kind, because deep down, he doesn't trust that love can last. He's been hurt before. And without healing, he expects it to happen again. So he strikes first, pushes her away, shuts down. And the woman, she's left confused. She's thinking, why is he acting like this? Why does he hurt me when I only ever tried to help him? And the sad truth is, he's not always doing it on purpose, but intent don't erase impact. A wound is still a wound, even if the person didn't mean to inflict it. Brothers, let me talk to you plain. You cannot run from your pain forever. It will follow you into every relationship, every argument, every moment of silence until you face it. You've got to look in the mirror and get real about what's still hurting inside of you. Maybe it's abandonment. Maybe it's betrayal. Maybe it's shame, guilt, failure, whatever it is. If you don't heal it, you will pass it on. That's not strength. That's self-destruction dressed up like survival. And healing, it ain't about weakness. It's about courage. It takes a strong man to say, I've been through some things and I need help working through them. It takes a real man to sit in the discomfort of his own pain instead of running from it. Or worse, throwing it at the woman who's trying to love him. You can't keep blaming the world, your past, or the people who hurt you before. At some point, you've got to take responsibility for the pain you're passing on. Because love can't thrive in trauma. It just can't. So if you find yourself hurting someone who loves you, stop and ask, what part of me is still unhealed? Because that's where the work begins. That's where change starts. And until you do that work, you'll keep seeing the same story play out, different woman, same ending. Not because they didn't love you right, but because you didn't love yourself enough to heal. And healing, that's the real key to loving her right.